Hello, everybody. This is Just Our Thoughts. It's brought to you by Last Level Games. My name is Phil. This is Var. Say hi, Var.
How's it going?
And this is Jason.
Hello.
So, what this is going to be is basically just we're going to talk about anything we want. It's going to be from gaming topics, non-gaming topics. It's going to kind of just be our discussion, our ways of thinking about just different topics to give you something a little different than the normal podcast that we already do weekly. Today, we are going to attempt to agree on a top five list of video games from last generation. So PS3, 360, and the Wii. Um, Now, look,
Yeah.
just a quick background. We all play vastly different games, so this should be interesting. First, we're going to go around, give you our top 10. Not really in a particular order, but we're going to give you a top 10 to kind of so you can see where our minds are at. You'll see some overlapping. And then we're going to move into trying to break it into 5 through 1. Hopefully, at the end of this, we're all still friends. But I got my doubts. So Var, let's start with you. What do you got for our top 10?
All right, the 10 I was able to come up with from the last generation: The Last of Us, Metal Gear Solid 4, Bioshock, Halo Reach, Dark Souls, Heavy Rain, Fallout 3, Mass Effect, Red Dead Redemption, and Skyrim.
Okay.
How about you, Jay?
Oh, okay. So again, no order. Metal Gear Solid, Call of Duty 4, The Last of Us, Bioshock, Batman: Arkham Asylum, Fallout 3, Mass Effect 2, Uncharted 2, and Red Dead Redemption. And Phil, what you got, Phil?
All right. So you can already see some overlapping. I'm gonna kind of have some of mine too. So my first one, Uncharted 2. Again, no order. Uncharted 2, Super Mario Galaxy 2, Halo 3, Last of Us, Batman: Arkham City, Bioshock, Fallout 3, Skyrim, Portal 2, and Rogue Legacy. Um,
Bit more diverse.
a little bit more around.
Yeah.
I've Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, we'll say that. As I'm the only person who apparently will pick up a Nintendo console.
That's not true.
Anyway,
I own a Wii.
yeah,
I don't use it.
yeah, exactly. So, how about that? So we're gonna try this, see how it goes. Bar,
Yep.
out of your list or pulling from a different list if you so choose, what would you rank as your number five? And why? Like, what are you looking at? What about it kind of stands out for you?
All right, first of all, my criteria for the list in general is that I enjoyed the game, completed the game, would recommend it to others, and it's an experience that stayed with me. That being said, I would start off, my top five would begin with Dark Souls.
Okay.
It
Okay.
was a really, 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 really difficult game, but in that level of intensity, the overall feeling of accomplishment was amazing. Like I could not explain to somebody how beating that game felt, and it was an experience that had similar vibe to Demon Souls, but it was its own game. It was fresh and it was fun.
Do you remember when Demon Souls came out? Was that around the same time?
It was before
Okay.
Dark Souls is the spiritual successor of Demon Souls.
Demon Souls.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, honestly, I never played Dark Souls. I could never get into that. It was a little too gritty, a little too hardcore for me. I do this thing where I die and then break my controller. So
Yeah.
I feel like Dark Souls, just that wouldn't have happened. I just would have broke my controller every time.
Yeah.
You would have
Um,
gone through a couple hundred controllers.
yeah. Did you break any of yours during the game or what?
No, no,
No. You're
it
a
was a
better kid than me.
frustrating system.
Yeah.
Frustrating,
Yeah.
really frustrating, but the
So
reward,
Tell me, was it
oh,
frustrating?
I think it was a little frustrating.
so let me ask you then, like, so if it's in your top five, right? So that's your number five.
Yes.
So what what would make that a must play above like the Demon Souls or above like did Dark Souls 2 come to PS3?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So what would make that like an above? Why would you point someone to that above like Dark Souls 2?
Because if you jumped in, you can obviously jump into Dark Souls 2 first,
No.
but to the overall experience, I I think the bosses were better from Dark Souls 1.
Okay.
I think they took everything from Demon Souls, made it much better. And the problem I would have in comparison with Dark Souls is it's a game that tried too heavily to expand upon an original that was already good. Like a lot of the stuff in Dark Souls wasn't necessary by comparison.
So they added like fluff to it to kind of make it longer, make it a different game.
They tried to give you so much variety that you never saw half the thing. You could beat the game without knowing half the content.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I get that. I can see that. So Jason, what do you think? Do you think that's top 5? Do you have that in your top 5 at all?
So I tried
Like,
playing Dark Souls. I did.
Okay.
I maybe put an hour into it. The pacing was way too slow for me. The game is hard. I will give you that. The challenge is there. I think one thing when I think about top lists that stand out to me is the fact that it needs to have a significant amount. It doesn't need to be the end all be all, but it has to have a good quality story, something that you can follow that keeps you involved. I think that's where Dark Souls is missing it. I think the lore is too deep that
It's abstract.
Yeah, and it's like people are still trying to figure out what's going on in some of them. So
completely valid argument.
So I think when I think about like top 5s, I think it definitely has the gameplay qualities because it's tight, but it's frustrating, but it works. It never grabbed me. I would put it this way: Bloodborne grabbed me a little bit more because the story was a little bit easier to follow. And obviously that's a new generation, but Phil, you're making that face. That's how Dark Souls kind of is, like, but I just never got into it, and I think that's a reason why I don't think that it should be even top 5.
Okay. I'm gonna obviously I'd have to side with Jason on it that it shouldn't be top 5. But here, so this is what we're gonna do for sake of argument. We'll drop that at 5 right this minute.
Okay.
But let's go to Jason's 5. Let's see what you have as your top 5, as your number 5.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about if one is more deserving of the other, and maybe his top 5 is maybe my 4, 3, 2, 1, whatever. So what do you have?
So for my number 5, I have Fallout 3.
Okay.
The reason I have Fallout 3 at number 5, and I know you guys both mentioned Skyrim.
Yes.
I think when I think about both games, I will be honest, the reason Skyrim wasn't on my list is because I played it on the PS3. And I don't know if you guys remember, but there were a lot of issues with the PS3 where you lose files and data. Whenever I got in water, my game would freeze. So I didn't go all the way through with it, but I still remember vividly my experience with Fallout. And I had never played into Fallout before. I never played the previous ones. I think when it comes to that open world, and let's be honest, right now, this day and age, like open world's the it thing. They do it in such a way that just grabs you. The VAT system, the gameplay, the fact that your choices, you really feel like they have impact. Even games after that didn't do that well enough. Because I remember like blowing up a nuke, arming a nuke in a town, and just watching it explode from the hotel room. Like, I mean, that stuff's amazing. What else? I mean, the fact that almost anything you can grab, even though some of it wasn't relevant, you can grab it, pick it up, and carry it with you. It's just fun stuff like that. I just found myself playing so much of that. The DLC was a little weak for me, but I only played Anchorage for a bit, and then I just never went back to it. And I know a lot of people like the DLC, but I think that's definitely number 5 for me when I think about the list ahead of it. But yeah, that's just me.
Okay, I mean, I can definitely see Fallout 3 as number 5. I think it did a really good job of that open world genre, introducing a ton of people to it. Also, I think one thing that can't be missed is like that is a pretty big step from Fallout 2 and Fallout. Like, when it was announced, there was fucking uproar. Like, people were pissed. They're like, "Hey, this is Fallout 3. This is what it's going to be about." And people were like, "I don't like it. It's not Fallout 2. Why is it not Fallout 2?"
New
and, like,
sucks.
People seriously got mad about it.
Yeah.
And I think it did an awesome job proving all those people wrong. Kind of why everybody's so hyped for Fallout 4 now, right?
Yeah.
I could definitely agree that Fallout 3 would be a good number 5. Also,
are we officially knocking Dark Souls out of?
I think we are. Sorry, Bar. So what also, in all fairness, a lot of us brought up like Skyrim. You guys both brought up Red Dead Redemption,
Yeah.
and I think those were great games. But I think Fallout 3 did it first and best. And I think that it was very engaging. You brought up the VAT system, and it like gave just all these different elements into one game. And I think one huge testament was Fallout 4 got announced, right? And then the next day you saw everybody on Twitch and YouTube playing Fallout 3.
Yeah.
Like, because it was just that good and it still held up that well.
Yeah.
I was one of them. I played Fallout 3. I actually, I did more with New Vegas back then. But that, I had a ton of glitches and bugs. But that's the point.
Like rad roach bugs or bugs?
like, hey, you equipped a pistol. Just kidding. Here's your desktop. All right. So I had those kind of issues with the game. So that was the thing. But I'd be okay with dropping in Fallout 3 at 5 bar. What do you think?
Honestly, I personally would have had Fallout 3 higher.
Okay.
And I would carry that almost completely off of how well it pulled off open world and the absurd amount of content.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's definitely in our top 5.
Where Dark Souls, as I mentioned, had so much content, its predecessor had so much content you couldn't enjoy it. Fallout 3 had so much replayability because there was so much choice.
Well, you go down and that, like, it's a freaking different game.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you just made a different game.
Yeah.
And that choice was 20 minutes in.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, okay. So let's just go in. It's in our top 5. Number 5. Let's float it there for now.
Okay.
So Var, I agree with Fallout 3 for 5. I'm okay with that. So I'm just gonna move on from my 5.
Okay.
Var, what do you think for like a number 4? What are your thoughts?
My number 4, Metal Gear Solid 4.
Okay.
That game was beautiful, and there are a few games of that generation that can stand up to that, even the games that came after it. The graphics were stunning. I know this was at the cost of load times. Well aware, well worth it. Still a beautiful, well-planned, well-thought-out, well-executed game. I don't have any part of that game that I look back on and say, well, I want to play it again, but I wish I could skip that part.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's where the story really lulled. Or I wish they had done this better. It's a game I enjoyed completely. And see through so many times over.
Yeah.
And the story, really convoluted, but well executed.
It was at that point. It was 20 years in the making. So
yeah,
yes, well worth it.
Yeah, yeah. And it was the end, and then you got the beginning. It's
a little convoluted.
Yeah. And of the beginning.
It's paradigm.
So obviously, I'm not as big fan of Metal Gear Solid 4.
No.
Yeah, right. So I don't get into the story. I know Var had a lot of the backstory from the other Metal Gears and a lot of love of the other Metal Gears. I didn't. I actually tried it. I did try it, which is surprising. And I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like, I can't get past the sneaking mechanics. I just didn't care. I couldn't deal with the cutscenes. So, for me personally, story doesn't have to be there for me. That is not the end-all, be-all. I love some games with story, like, beyond anything, as you'll see a little later.
Yeah.
But other ones like Bastion, fucking amazing use of story and use of doing stuff. But it also didn't get convoluted, and it didn't take away from my gameplay. I feel like Metal Gear Solid 4 takes from the gameplay by continually injecting you into cutscenes and continually making you stop.
Okay. It's a fair It's a fair assessment for someone that,
okay, so why? What's up?
Well, the cutscenes deliver the story, but there's, let's say, a Call of Duty where you're going to enter something like a cutscene that just becomes a button response.
Quick time event?
a quick time event completely mapped out for you.
Okay.
They didn't really hand you those. It's like, hey, here's some story. Now go play. And there was very little within the gameplay that left you saying, well, they showed me this, but I couldn't do that. The most ridiculous aspects of that game were playable.
Right.
Like they didn't show you using a railgun and then it was mysteriously taken away from you.
Yeah.
They gave you a railgun. They didn't show you piloting a Metal Gear and it mysteriously being gone to like at the end of a cutscene. No, you piloted a Metal Gear. So I know there are tons of complaint about the cutscenes, but they had purpose. And I know there are situations in which games use cutscenes as a mechanism to progress the story, but I didn't feel that way with this. I felt that it was a story being told and it was story heavy, but the execution of it was flawless.
So let me interject with my view on this. So I'll tell you, ironically, I actually have Metal Gear Solid 4 at 4 too. So going off of what Levar was saying, I think with the Metal Gear series in general, it is always story heavy. The only thing is they do a really good job, and it's really hard to get past the beginning. Like for people that don't play those that often to get past the sneaking parts of it, but they do a really good job at pushing past a sneak mission. So once you get past like the fact that you're hiding and stuff, like when the story progresses, then you, like he said, you get to play with a Metal Gear, like a Metal Gear machine. You get like these all-out battles at the end that come to fruition after everything that you've done and everything you've seen. Because there are a lot of cutscenes. I will give you that. Like I think there are parts of it where I'm just like, okay, come on, I want to play, I want to enjoy myself. But at the same time, like they still deliver such a story with like magnitude, like you feel it, and this one wasn't even like Metal Gear Solid 4's story wasn't it ended it all, but in a sense, but it wasn't necessarily the best story told out of all the Metal Gears, but for what it was supposed to be, I think it delivered, and I think a big part of that was because of the system it was on, honestly. Like the way they push that engine, you can tell.
Yeah.
The gameplay is solid. The economic system where you trade in guns to get more like rep points and stuff like that, to buy more gear and stuff like that, it worked really well. It is hard for someone who hadn't played the previous ones to jump into Metal Gear Solid 4. It really is, and I think that's where you can make the argument that it isn't a top game because it's so niche in a sense, which is ironic because it's actually a pretty big game. At least brand wise, it is.
Now it is.
No, but even then it was. For Metal Gear Solid 4, it was a big game. Now sales don't.
Right, I was gonna say sales wise, it wasn't.
7 million is not bad.
Is that what sales were?
Yeah, it was like 7 or 6 million.
Good.
It's not bad, but that was over like I don't even know, like 3 or 4 years. But I think I do agree with Var. Like it does such a good job at blending like impactful story in with those cutscenes. There's some cutscenes it could cut out and the story would still be the same. Like not too many games go and bring you basically a book, a giant book, and put it into a game and say, here, stick with it, and you'll enjoy yourself. And I think Metal Gear Solid is like the perfect, example of that. Metal Gear Solid 4 is a perfect example of that.
See, my only pushback towards anything like that, and I get it, if you guys want to 4, I'm okay with that. My only pushback would be, I think there's 2 games easily come to mind with way better story and a way better delivery system of that story that blended gameplay with story instead of making me choose one or the other.
Okay.
And easily the obvious ones, they were in my top 5, are Bioshock and Last of Us.
Yeah.
So both of those games kept you immersed in a world and brought you a crazy fucking story.
Yes.
And they just did it so easily together.
Yeah.
And that would be my knock against Metal Gear. But if we want to put it in 4, that's fine with me.
Okay. I think we can definitely you can make I definitely agree that they both those games do an awesome job, and that's why they're going to be ahead for me too.
Right, yes.
Of Metal Gear Solid 4, because I mean you talk about impact, the fact, so Metal Gear Solid 4 is basically the fourth game that is like that. Bioshock and Last of Us
Are just
Yeah.
first
are there.
loves. Yep.
Yeah, and it's like you didn't expect another. I mean, you did after you played Bioshock, but you didn't expect another one to like it was out of nowhere. You know what I mean? In that sense, Metal Gear Solid 4 was a culmination of anticipation. So I think, yeah, I definitely agree with you. Like those two will be higher in mine as well. So
So
cool.
let me just throw out what I had at number 4. So I had Fallout 3 at number 5, so that was what it was. My number 4 was actually Portal 2.
Okay.
And just quickly about a little bit about it. I don't know if you guys had it top 5. But to me,
I
like the
didn't.
gameplay of it, the puzzleness of it, the kind of just whole different way of thinking that game involved was amazing.
Yeah.
And then the story that they kind of snuck in on you because it wasn't a focus, it wasn't the biggest deal. You're a part of this test lab and blah 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 blah, and GLaDOS is testing you, and then you find out, oh, it took over the center and there's nobody else there. And then by the end, you're out, but there's nothing, and so it kind of leaves it up in the air. And I just really loved the gameplay and trying to figure out how to do different things with the tools and kind of things they gave you. And it was just rock solid.
So I know for a fact, and it's funny, I'm cheap sometimes, but I played Portal 2 on somebody's PC.
Yeah.
Because I didn't own a PC till now. Phil, you know that.
Well, it came in the orange box.
I didn't play it.
Well, Portal 2 came in orange box.
Yeah, but from what I had seen, I saw it on PC.
Yeah.
And it did look like shit tons of fun. And I've heard nothing but good things about that game. So, I mean, if it's in our top 5,
It was a puzzler. It was.
We'll have to.
I think the same deal with Metal Gear as it was like niche.
Yeah.
I think it's the same exact thing. Where like.
That's exactly what I was going to get to. Like you're the exact way you described trying to get the stealth down, and just approaching it, and just not long after that saying this isn't for me.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I felt with Portal.
Yeah.
Not long at all, because I did play it in the orange box. I remember getting the orange box and being excited because I've heard that all these are great games.
Yeah.
And I started playing. I was just like, maybe it's a great game for someone else.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it.
See, I had the same reaction you did with like Dark Souls, where like I would do a puzzle and die, do a puzzle and fuck it up. And then I did it. I'd be like, holy shit, I'm smart. And so that was the big draw and the big take for me, and it really launched me into other games like the Talos Principles. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
No.
But it's PC and it's the same fucking deal, just like puzzle after puzzle after puzzle. The other puzzlers that generation, Zack and Wiki, super underrated, super underrated for the Wii. Crazy good, but same deal where it was just like a puzzle and then another puzzle and a puzzle, and literally the whole stage was a puzzle.
Yeah.
And a lot of people didn't play it because they're like, oh, it's a kiddie game on the Wii. I'm telling you right now, no little kid beat that, and if they did, they're working for like NASA at this point.
It's Google. You want to work for Google.
They work for Google.
Yeah.
Because when you got to those last couple puzzles, like, holy shit, dude, the amount of intricacy put into it. But all right, so let's go on right now. We have Fallout 3 at 5, Metal Gear Solid 4 at 4, which is kind of ironic. What about a number 3? Let's start with Jason this time.
Okay.
Jason, what would you have at number 3?
So for my number 3, I have. Are you ready? Red Dead Redemption. So I will tell you now, I can't wait for them to make another one, but I feel like it's not gonna have the same impact on me. However, when I think about Rockstar, obviously GTA is big, right? Everybody loves GTA.
Most people do.
Yeah, well, there's enough people out there that I can.
A million, like 50 or so.
I think Red Dead Redemption is a better game. Because it for the most part it was a one-time thing until they make another one, right? It's in development.
Yeah.
But just the fact that they took me to the Wild West, and put all those mechanics that worked in Grand Theft Auto for the most part, and told such a good story, and it was so much fun to play. I remember skinning things. I remember, chasing down people. Like the multiplayer didn't work too well.
Okay.
I remember they had
enjoyed the multiplayer.
Best game ever, but keep going.
Yeah. But I had a shit ton of fun playing that game. And I mean, the end result of that game after doing all those hours, seeing something that, you didn't expect to see at the end. And it was just like, oh man, I can't believe they did what they did. I don't want to spoil it, but I guess we're past that point, right? I can say it.
Yeah, it's been a couple days.
They shoot John Marston, and it's just like
hardcore.
It's just like, what the fuck? How is this gonna end? They're like, you know what, guys? We can't do that to our gamers. Here you go, and they make you his son, and you go and kill that guy. So
Okay.
it was a good story. And as you can tell, like I like story. But I just thought the impact it had, and again, it was something like I remember getting a lot of good preview. And it's a Rockstar game, so like for the most part, especially with the Grand Theft Auto, because that's really what it is when you think about it. It's the Grand Theft Auto in the Wild West. But there's something about it that I enjoyed so much more than Grand Theft Auto ever.
Yeah. So
Any Grand Theft Auto.
you really liked when they reskinned all those cars as horses. And they were
Yes.
Like, you have to go slower now. Okay.
I did. I liked that. I did. I had a lot of fun with it. So that's my number 3.
Wow, what do you think of that?
Honestly, he's making a good argument, because I remember when I was getting ready to when I first heard about the game.
Yo,
I
soy
was thinking
John
to myself,
Marston.
They make Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto does not take place the same time this game takes place, and it kind of created a bias in me
Okay.
that this game wouldn't deliver. And I started to play, and I was just like, wow, I feel foolish. I feel foolish for doubting these people. This game is, and the problem I had, just like Jay, was how the story took a hard turn, and where you say it kind of saved itself at the end, I say it kind of just tried to appease people. I don't think that was ever meant to be, because how suddenly it happened and how briefly the entire events were of that second ending, I'll call it.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. Didn't feel genuine to me, and I love the game besides that, but that kind of to go that hard on the story, and then just, well, here's a little feel better thing. It's not all bad. That felt forced.
Yeah.
And to not kind of knock it out of the way, my number 3 was Fallout, and if you guys are gonna go with that at 5, I just don't see this being better than that.
So one thing I think is kind of funny from both. So you guys compare it to Grand Theft Auto, yet you didn't choose Grand Theft Auto 5 as better than it?
Absolutely.
No. I didn't think Grand Theft Auto 5 was better than it. Or 4.
None of them.
Okay.
3 was.
So for me, which again still PS3 at 360.
What?
So for me, this is the part I don't get. I don't care for Red Dead. It was good for what it was. To me, it was another Grand Theft Auto, just in the West. That didn't really do enough to pull me in. Skinning, that kind of stuff. Doing it since Star Wars and MMOs, like, it wasn't anything that really hooked me and made me feel any different or special. So it didn't offer enough, especially to be a number 3. To me, it didn't do enough for the generation for moving things forward, because I think as soon as another Grand Theft Auto is announced, everyone forgets it and it's kind of dead. Now, my number 3 is way fucking different than anybody else's here. So I'm going to offer it up that my number 3 is Super Mario Galaxy 2.
Okay.
And my reasoning behind that is there was no other game that generation that was a platformer that could beat it. Not only did it build off of the premises of the first Super Mario Galaxy, it made everything better, bigger, and it added Yoshi. That was kind of dope. But it made everything, like, to the next level with it. It smoothed out a lot of the problems it had with, like, cameras and weird angles in the first one, and brought it to that next level. Also, it was kind of like the adventure games foray into like Mario 64, with playing with camera angles, playing with different ways to mess with things.
Yeah.
And they brought it into different gravities, different suits, how they affect the gravity and those kind of things. I don't think there is a single platform game that would stand toe to toe with it through that generation. And I think it is would have been sorely missed if it wasn't there. I think it literally could have killed the genre if it wasn't on that cycle.
Okay. Var, what do you think?
I think no.
Well,
Okay.
I would tell you this. No. So when I think about that, when I think about Super Mario Galaxy 2, because it's funny, my wife really doesn't play video games. She really doesn't. But what she does play is Super Mario Galaxy, Super Mario Galaxy 2, and for some reason, for some godforsaken reason, she plays all the fucking Lego games. I don't understand it, but she plays them religiously.
They're fun though, right?
No, it's just every single one.
I know. They kind of.
She has all versions of Lego Harry Potter and all that, but that's for another day. So I saw her playing Super Mario Galaxy 2. She beat the first one.
Yeah.
And she struggled a bit with the second one. Now, I played it with her to help her, get over some, I don't know, stupid thing. I can't remember what world she was in, but
yeah.
It's one of those things, man. Like I play that game and it's like I feel like it's a trap because I don't want to get sucked into playing it because it is fun. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh my god. And I guess it could be like some of the modern things that are ingrained in me with like I need trophies or achievements, and because I felt like I never got they weren't as good on the Nintendo, right?
Well, they didn't really have any
exactly
for it. They had them like within game to unlock stuff, but it was never like you got a shiny platinum.
Yeah. So, but I know that it reviewed well. I had fun. I had fun playing it too, Phil, and I don't think Var's ever played it. Have you, Var?
All right, here's my thing with platformers. I was done with them a long, long, long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah, but...
And it's just a personal bias.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to knock the game at all. I'm just stating my personal disinterest in it. Like, if I were to have a top 5 or top 1 million, it wouldn't be on there.
Okay.
It's just my personal bias. I don't enjoy them anymore.
But have you played that?
No recent platformers.
I got confused by the part when you're like, I don't like any of them, and then you said you didn't play any of them. Like me, I can sit here and say,
no. I don't play them anymore.
I didn't fucking play it.
No, I don't.
I hated it.
I get you. I don't play them
anymore.
I haven't played this entry.
Yeah.
But platformers in general.
Did you play the first one?
Mario Galaxy?
Yeah. Did you play Super Mario Galaxy? Do you play any like Ratchet and Clank and those kind of games?
No, I don't like platforms.
Okay. I get that. I still think it was huge. I still think it was.
But that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm saying it's a game like look, all our games. If you don't enjoy the genre,
you're not gonna like them at all.
There you go.
Yeah.
I get that. So what do you want to do for number 3? Do we want to bring in a dark horse? What do you want to go with?
So I mean, Var, you had Fallout 3 at
I did.
Number 3. I definitely dispute that. And only because I just I think it might be more so because of the list, like the 2 and the 1 when I think about those, which is funny. I'm willing to say that Red Dead, based off the Grand Theft Auto premise and everything, that it is a reskin, that it's not as impactful to be at 3. Okay. But I will say that when I think about game changers, because I mean Fallout 3 was a game changer, it was.
Yep.
But Super Mario Galaxy 2 is a game changer in its way. You know what I mean? Because it is the epitome of that the Nintendo Wii, isn't it? Like it's one of the cornerstones when you think about it. So I don't know. That's tough, man. It's really tough. I still think we keep Fallout at 5. I still
Fallout 3 at 5.
Yeah.
So one of the things I would say above Fallout 3 were the glitches and the problems with the game itself.
Okay.
Would keep it above it.
It had its issues.
All three had bugs. They had
Yeah,
save
I
bugs through PC.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember playing it on the 360. I don't remember
No,
running
they
it.
did. Um, Metal Gear Solid 4. So this is we can flip flop Metal Gear Solid 4 and Super Mario Galaxy if you want. Put Solid at 3 and Galaxy at 4. What I think both of those games did extraordinarily well is one, they were exclusives, and two, they fucking used their machine. They knew what their machine could do, they knew what it could push, and they fucking used it.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to like take out a marquee game, you would have Metal Gear for PlayStation, you would have Super Mario Galaxy 2 for the Wii. I
Okay.
think then you go maybe like a Halo for 360, but I don't even think that's top five to be honest with you. So I'd be okay with switching them. I still think it belongs in top five. I
Yeah.
don't think it fall out.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. So
So how would you feel about a switch? How would you feel about Metal Gear being 3 and Galaxy being 4?
I could live with that.
yeah, me too.
Okay, so how about all right. Let me make some notations,
Notations.
kind of showing. All right, so I think we've already all tipped our fucking hand, right? So we know
Yeah.
what 1 and 2 are,
I
It's
think,
where we have them.
I think
and I also
well.
think it's amazing that we both came to that, or all three of us came to this, right? That
But
these
it
are
says a lot about the game.
And it depends
It's
on
what
the
we're doing.
order. It,
Yeah.
it depends on the order.
This is what we're gonna do. So it's Last of Us and Bioshock, right?
Yeah.
Those are our two.
Yes. Hands down.
How
I was gonna say Candy Crush, but you guys would have laughed at me.
I would have kicked you off and stopped talking to you. As just a human being, I would have like just lost all of it.
We
So
might
let's
as well
have a
just.
discussion. Let's have a discussion.
Okay.
Last of Us. This is all I want's a number. Var,
2.
Jason,
Let me check again. I forget things easily. Yes, 2.
2. I have it as 1. So Bioshock.
Oh wait, you said Last of Us?
Last of Us.
I do have it at 1.
I have number 1.
Yes, sorry.
And then Bioshock as number 2 for me.
Yeah.
Jason, Var, you have Bioshock as number 1, right?
I do.
Okay. So how about this? Let's talk about why me and Jason believe Last of Us is number 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Jason, what about Last of Us makes it the best game? What happened?
I don't mean to sound redundant, but I'm huge about story. I mean, so no, seriously. So it's made by Naughty Dog, which they made Uncharted. They used to make Crash Bandicoot, one of my favorite platformers, by the way.
What's that about?
You don't want to know.
Mario just crushed and got rid of.
Yeah, pretty much. But no, so again, when we talk about like just having all the things necessary to have a quality game, to have a game that is like the epitome of where games head to, and like what like art means for games and stuff like that. There's all kinds of definitions for it, right? But when I think about like when I'm watching a movie and I'm saying, oh, I like to experience that a little bit more personally, that's what Last of Us is. That is something where you feel like you have impact. It's linear. It is linear, but it does it in such a way that it feels necessary and justified. I think story wise,
I think. Well, I think to what you're saying about it being linear, if you don't mind, it's linear, 1,000%, but it does it in a way that makes you want to continue.
Yes.
You're not going forward because you're like, oh well, this is the way the game's going. You're doing it because you're like, holy fuck, man, what's gonna happen? Like it gives you that, it draws you so deep into it. Because I'll tell you right now, I fucking hate story. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
I play Diablo 3 for like 6 hours a day. Right?
Yeah.
The story is shit.
Yeah.
But Last of Us, it grabs you in such a way that just like it makes you want to continue the story. All right, sorry, you keep going.
No, that's fine. And then so going into gameplay, just solid mechanics overall. I think the shooting was fine. The multiplayer was awesome. It was really fun. I I don't get into shooters as much anymore. Like when it comes to multiplayer, it really has to grab me like Destiny does. But shut up. I know you want me to get back on the Destiny wagon.
Not now. Not now.
But anyways, top 5
I'll go
games
now.
Jason
Fuck
should
this
get
shit.
on. No.
I'll go play this.
No, but yeah, gameplay. Like I said, it was one of those games where like it's really funny too because you when you think about like the era we're in now, and I mentioned this earlier, like everybody's making an open world game. Everyone is, you know what I mean? Like they all have their own version, and these kind of games show you that you don't need to make like these giant sandboxes. You can make a game that has a certain limitations, but they just have such impact. You know what I mean? I just that game is just I the mere fact that I get a text message from Phil saying like what happened in the story, that just goes to show, because you guys will learn. You guys probably have heard it a million times. Phil hates story. Like
Oh God.
he's like, come on, I want to press X, but no, it was just awesome through and through. And that's why I think it's a little bit ahead of Bioshock. I think the one thing that I would say is Bioshock has a similar story, like a similar impact in the story, where it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. However, I just think the gameplay, for me, was better than Bioshock's overall.
So let me just throw this out there really quick. I think one of the big differences between Bioshock and Last of Us for me, is this is going to sound counterintuitive. Last of Us took away choice when it needed to make the story better. So let's, if you haven't fucking beat it, I don't know what you're doing, but like the end of the game where like maybe you thought you could choose what happened and you can't. And different parts of the game where like it didn't exactly let you make that choice, and they did it in such a way that made the story more cohesive and more like brought together and more just continuing that wanting to do more. And the fault I would have with Bioshock, and I get it was part of it, is because of their power-up system and because of the way it rewarded you for doing each one being different. I believe it influences your decision. So it totally could not influence your decision. You can do it however you want. But the fact that the rewards weren't the same for killing one and saving one, I think forces you down a certain path if you want power-ups quicker or if you want basically your end game payout.
Okay.
And I actually think that takes away from the game, because I think it makes, obviously it branches the story, right? And it gives you different endings, which is great. But I think it takes you a little removed from the story. I played it both ways. So I played it where you like harvested, and then I played it where you saved them, and you could see the difference, because if you harvest, you can upgrade quicker, but you don't get the payoff of them bringing you stuff when you go see the what's the name of it?
The Big Daddy?
The
little
machine.
kiosk.
Yeah.
Oh, the circus of value. That guy?
No,
Close
that's
enough.
one of.
That's one of them. That's the buy one, though. The power-up one. Anyway,
I know which one you're talking about.
So I know when, like, you saved the kids, they'd be like, oh, they left you a present and give you, like, that kind of stuff. But that would be more like after-the-fact power-ups. If you wanted to power up immediately, you harvested them, right? You got more, whatever the word is.
Juice.
I don't have more juice. Creepy. So I actually think that detracted from the story
like
in a way that Last of Us stuck to their story and kind of let you play it out. They never broke that immersion. They never made you step away and be like, oh, it is a game, do whatever the fuck you want. Which, it sounds weird. It sounds convoluted, but it made for a better product. It made for a better game overall.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. Bioshock was awesome. I would shoot people with lightning and then smack them over the head with a lead pipe. Like, that was amazing. And then you'd get guns and you pick up the ammo. And then you get to pick, like, if you want to use fire and ice or whatever you want to do, telekinesis, bees. Like, it was really cool. the other problem with that is being the player I am, right? So I play Diablo a lot, and I like to play those things, and I like to min-max my characters. And what that basically is I always strive to get like the best stats possible for any loadout.
Mhm.
So for me, I always relied on the best attack and the best weapon instead of the one that I like to use.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Var, you've been quiet.
Why
You
should
would
why should
like
Bioshock be one,
to
Var?
this?
Why should Bioshock
All
be
right.
one?
So, as you guys have said a few times, not saying my number two is a bad game by any
No.
measure.
Yeah.
Right,
It's
right.
Neither
number
one.
two.
It's not.
I love Last of Us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It had a rich story, a really compelling idea, because we've all played zombie games in one form or another
Yeah.
outside of this, and
Right.
their take on it was original and really well put together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Loved all of that. You guys hit on most. I love the relationship between the two characters.
Yeah.
All that added to the game for me. Really enjoyed it. Doesn't compare to my experience in Bioshock. Not at all. The moment you find yourself beginning the game and entering the world of Rapture
Mhm.
and how well it's put together, I don't see in games. I don't see that innovation in most games. And I certainly don't see that level of accomplishment in trying to create something new. This wasn't this wasn't a city in the normal aspects. You had a world leaking because you were underwater. You had chaos everywhere because
Yeah.
of an exploited drug system that you were benefiting from yourself.
Right.
You had children going around stabbing people for their life force. These aren't elements I see all the time. Like, I believe Last of Us mastered what I see. It mastered the protagonist and secondary character relationship. I think I've never seen it better.
Okay.
I think it mastered that. I think Bioshock mastered giving you a whole new world to an extent that I do not see. And when you story, I think the story is extremely underplayed. I think the story of a capitalist who looked upon the world and just found fault with it to the point where he said, I have to build my own and I have to set up my own standards for society. Because that's what Rapture is. Rapture is
Var,
what?
have you ever seen the movie or read the book Atlas Shrugged?
No.
So
Yeah.
that is my one knock against Bioshock. Because if you haven't read that book or seen that movie, Bioshock looks original.
Okay.
But if you have, that is literally Atlas Shrugged.
Okay.
So Atlas Shrugged is all about all the smart people, all the inventors, all the people who think they can do a better job,
Okay.
basically disappearing and the world goes into chaos. But they basically took that premise and showed you the other side of it, which they did then in the later books. But they basically took that premise and put a world to it. I think you're right. I think it's beautiful. I think the way they drop you into it and show you it is fucking amazing. But I don't think it's as original as it seems.
I get what. Okay. Okay. I understand that premise. I understand the brain drain premise of what happens when you have the world's brightest minds and they create their own
Yeah.
society. The fact of the matter is, even with that concept,
No.
I think because you weren't just doing that.
Sorry.
You were remember half the people
Yeah.
you see in that game, more than half, a large majority of the people you see in that game,
Yeah.
just broke off from society to get a quote unquote better life.
Yeah, but the
And
premise of
that's the
Rapture, they
chaos.
show you it. They show you the premise of Rapture when you go into it. Is I
Yes.
want your thinkers. I want everyone who's smart. I want your inventors. That's who should come
It's
here.
not just that's not the sole premise. Remember, it's what he considers rapture an exodus from.
Right.
It's an
When they-
exodus from religion. It's
Yep.
an exodus from capitalism. It's an
Yep.
exodus from communism.
Right.
Those are the things he saw in the world that he thrived from. That's a part of the story. There's also, which to me is still the greatest twist put in a video game when you're revealed the phrase,
Yeah.
would you kindly, has been controlling you
Yep.
throughout the entire game, which still blows my mind because it was subtle. It was so subtle and well played, and it's not something you thought about until it was unveiled to you.
Yep.
The fact with Tenenbaum with the little girls,
Yeah.
thanking you for not killing them because on our daily basis, killing the child is wrong. But the world of chaos that they created and presented to you so magnificently, it wasn't. People were trying their hardest, whatever means they could, to strive to
but
disregard life.
Sorry. The Last of Us kind of touches on that too, though, because if you remember, Joel's daughter was shot because she wasn't infected, but the soldier was told to shoot her, and that goes on the same premise.
That's the normal zombie mistake. I've seen that play out. Are they infected?
But at its core, it's the same premise, though. It's the fact that it's kind of a no holds barred. It is what it is. We have to do what's necessary, right?
Their norms have broken down.
But that's the thing with Rapture.
Okay.
One is a military coming in thinking they have to save the world. Rapture is a result of best laid intentions going to shit because of greed. The people who are going around there do not think they're saving anything.
Mm-hmm.
Not themselves or anyone else. They want more.
So I would interject this that's why I have such a problem with it's your choice to kill the kids or to save them.
Because it's not a choice.
I think the game would have been so much better if you did not have that option.
But you can be a monster amongst monsters, or you can be...
But I think that takes away from... Honest to God, I think that takes away from the story, because it's trying to feed you this narrative, it's trying to feed you this story, and then supposedly you can do either option, but yet the entire time you're controlled. So
but you're never told what to do with the children. That's another part I find to be terrific about it. You do what you're told to do, or else you can't rest. But you're not told under the same mind control that you have to kill these children. You're given a choice.
Right. I completely get that, but I don't think that choice fits in with that story. I don't think it fits at all. I think that if they had me... So I think the game would have been a million times more impactful if I came up to my first kid and they were like, hey, by the way, for you to advance, you need to kill that kid and take the... What the fuck they were called?
Jews.
Plasmids. You need to take its plasmids. I think the game would have had a way bigger impact because it would have set up that world as the crazy world that it was, not this world of like, well, they're only crazy by choice. Do you know what I mean?
But they were crazy by choice.
They were crazy because they took plasmids, and then they took too many, and then that turned them crazy. So basically, they were all heroin addicts.
So I got.
But you came in. But in the world, you did come into contact with a lot of people who weren't crazy. They were crazy by choice. They were crazy because of their greed. They were crazy because they were put in a society that was supposed to better them and backfired.
Right. So then that just takes away from the story more. Is that he had a brilliant idea.
That didn't matter. It just didn't matter. Because the idea never came to fruition.
Yeah,
it was never going to. That's based off what you just said.
But that's the story.
No, I know. But when I think about, again, right now, either one you could flip flop either one. Yeah. But when I think about, in a nutshell, when I think about impact and overall impact, I'm talking like the gameplay, the fluidness of the gameplay. I'm talking about the visuals, which they're both beautiful.
Yeah.
When I think about the story, so when I think about all those things, I feel that The Last of Us does a little bit better job, giving you an overall experience. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't follow Bioshock's story up until the end. It didn't really catch me until, because you know what, you get lost in all that chaos, you get lost in all that the killing and getting all that stuff because of the fact and that takes away from the overall impact of the game. I'm like, oh, I was mind controlled the whole time. At the end of The Last of Us, I was like, holy shit, he shot her You know what I mean? Like it was kind of like that when I think about how I felt at the end of the game after all the hours I put into it, which I think both games are relatively around the same. If you really run through, they're relatively around the same length.
Yeah, I don't think one's much longer than the other.
And I think about like replay value and stuff like that. You could play Bioshock with, like you said, you guys did it both ways or whatever. But I think Last of Us left me in such a state that Bioshock did not. And I think the reason behind that is because I remember going into Rapture being like, wow, this is awesome. I'm a little creeped out by everything. Okay, now I have guns. Now I have powers. I'm just going to blow shit up, do all this, do all that. I was mind controlled half the time. That's great. And I killed him. He's gone. It was still a good story overall. It was still told a very good way. But when I think about like Last of Us story, it's like that struggle. And I think maybe because it's a more grounded story, right? So you can feel yourself like, okay, oh my God, like I could see myself in that situation. You know what I mean? What would I do? I can't imagine myself with plasmids. You know what I mean? So I think when we talk about like which games experience, and it sucks too because if Last of Us wasn't here, obviously Bioshock would be number one. Like you can put it either way. It depends on like your argument, honestly. But I think when we're talking about like impact and and I don't know, it was just, oh man, I can't tell you how that story had me the whole time. Yeah. The whole time. Bioshock did not do that for me. I hate, and I still hate this overall. I hate having to listen to shit on the go and picking up stuff. I don't even go after that stuff because it makes no sense to me to tell a story that way, because while I'm doing this, either make it a cutscene or don't do it at all, because of the fact that like when I'm hearing this stuff, half the time I can't hear it because I'm going through stuff and I'm trying to not die, and the other time it's like I've listened to it and there's so frequent that it's just like, okay, I really didn't need to know that,
So I half agree with you. I do think the way Bioshock did its audio files was amazing. I think it was a really good system of picking stuff up. The place I think it failed is you can miss stuff. That's why I think it failed. So you can go through and not get the whole story because you didn't check a corner or a bathroom stall and a toilet, and all of a sudden now you're missing part of the story. So I think in that sense, I love the voiceover. I love it going on in the background and I'm tapping into this other world and I'm hearing these other, I love that way of doing it because it actually never takes me from the gameplay. Fucking love it. But it should not have been something I could have missed. It should have been triggered on areas in the game. It should have been when I walk into the saloon, maybe the saloon sounds like the fucking saloon when it was good and you heard people talking. I get the point of it. Yeah. You picked up their tapes. You picked up their recordings of talking to each other or the therapist. Like, I got that. It makes sense. But it also gave me a chance to just skip it.
But that's what it was meant to do. I honestly believe that through and through. I believe the entire game was the presentation of a brand new world to you and how much you wanted to dive into it. And that's why I got all the tapes. I searched that world through and through because it was, I can't stress that enough, it was a brand new environment stressing things that I don't commonly see in a way that I don't see in video games. And the voiceover thing, I understand what you're saying, that you can miss it, which does suck. And that, well, I disagree with what Jay said about how you are taken away from it.
I get it.
If you don't have that, then you're kind of presented with the idea that what's important, the only factors in this game that are important are the ones that you're aware of now. Mm-hmm. And you come into a world of ruin. So half the story is, how did it get like this? And for you to just meet a character and them to tell you, well, Thursday shit was great, and then Friday came along. No. It was degradation that your character would have never been there to experience. And I like the way they presented that.
Okay. Which would have been cool if you didn't miss any of it. And I get Jay's part of it, because I think I remember picking up some tapes, and then as they're playing, walking to the next room, and just getting fucking ham-fisted with enemies. Where now I'm worried about killing 10 people, not listening to the story.
If you held B, you can play it again.
Well, that's fine, but at the same time,
simple.
like when you think about being immersed in the world, and because Bioshock for the most part is a linear game, but you constantly had to backtrack, you constantly had to go back and forth, right? But at the same time, like if it's relevant, I want it included. I don't want you to have to make me go look for relevancy, because that takes away from my experience of trying to like experience it in a whole. Like you can't tell me that I get to the end of the game, it's like, you would have understood that better if you had picked up this tape. If you wanted me to understand that better, put it right in front of me. You know what I mean? And I'm
telling you, a slow walk into a room would have been fucking dope. Like a slow walk into the room with the tape playing would have been amazing if you didn't have to find it.
Yeah, because like they talk, when they introduce you into the world, they show you what Bioshock's supposed to be, right? So they're going down, you're in an elevator. Do it when I'm fucking transitioning into another room like that, like you're saying. You know what I mean? You're going down an elevator, they're explaining stuff that people were experiencing and stuff like that. I think what my bigger point behind that is you're trying to tell me a story, but by doing it the way you're doing, you're telling me part of the story, of the entire story, not the entire story, right? Whereas Last of Us gives you the story, and that's enough. And that is something where you feel like you can follow, you understand, and it still has so much gravitas behind it. Because it is a similar like storyline to, your post-apocalyptic like world, but at the same time it wasn't about the post-apocalyptic world. Like Bioshock's about like the environment in the world, right? This was about people, and this was about making hard decisions, and it's just so impactful because you can put yourself in that position, and I think that's what separates it a little bit more in my head. Is like I think I try to relate it to me, like as a person, and obviously I can't imagine myself in the world of Rapture. I'd probably die right away. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you're trying to tell me a story, as both games are, right?
Yeah.
You don't want me to miss something, so don't put it in it. Don't like you can have optional media. You can have things that are like side stories that are important, but they're not like But the way you're telling me like you're trying to get an idea of what happened in the entire world, like it is kind of important, right? So don't force me to kind of get distracted by this at the same time while I'm trying to get through the game. Like show it a different way, and I think that's where it missed me because I didn't have an idea of what was going on, and I picked up those tapes and I tried listening to them, right? But at the same time, like I had an idea of what was going on overall, but I didn't have the same like idea that I had with Last of Us because it told us just a straight up story, and you were, it was linear, but it was like, boom, this is what it is, and it was just like, oh my god, I can follow this, you know what I mean? Where I was like, oh, would you kindly? Oh my god, I've been mind control this whole time because I think he's been saying that. Right?
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, okay. Oh, this is about like this kind of world. Like, that makes sense. I think I heard that earlier. Like, I don't have to worry about that with Last of Us. And like, I remember step by step what happened because of the magnitude, because of the environment, and the aesthetic feel of it. You know what I mean?
But honestly, I want to go play both games right now. Like,
yeah,
no,
right?
I'm fucking joking. Yeah. I kind of want to play both games. All right, so
I gotta go, guys.
Let's do this. Yeah, I gotta. My wife is calling me.
Yeah.
So, all right, here we'll end it here. I want last thoughts. It could be about these two. It could be about the whole list. It could be about something you left off. I don't give a fuck what it is.
Okay.
It's last thoughts. I think basically, Var, sorry, but based on 2-1, we're gonna vote Last of Us as 1, and we're gonna put Bioshock as number 2.
Strong 2.
Strong 2. Infinite though, that shit fell off.
Yeah.
Not the point.
I liked Infinite. I did like Infinite.
Those really? I hated those rails.
Well, that wasn't a great gameplay.
They kept trying to put you on those damn rails.
No, they did. They
pushed that hard.
It's the Batman. It's the Batmobile all over again. Like
it is. It's good thing I love that game.
Yeah, but no,
it's not as bad as the Batmobile.
Yeah, I just want to say, relative to our top 5, for me, Batman. I know Phil, you and I talked about this before, but Batman Arkham Asylum, is a huge notable for me because it is a superhero. It's a comic game that was done right. And that was the first game on my PlayStation 3 that I platinumed because I just could not get enough of that game. The combat system, the clues, like the Riddler stuff, just everything about that game. You know, I kind of regret not putting it in there now, and that pisses me off. That pisses me off.
It's only top 5.
Yeah, only top 5. I mean, we could have went. What about you? What's your? I mean, all right, it cannot be XCOM. Whatever you talk about can't be XCOM.
Yeah.
No, I do. I play that on the PC, so I'm not gonna.
Okay.
Yeah. The thing I think about when I think about the conversation we just had in top 5, there was so many good experience that last generation gave us.
Oh,
And it was
so good.
really, really hard to even break it down to our first 10.
Yep.
To get it to a 5, like, there's so much we left out.
Yeah.
There's so much we left out.
So much. And it's crazy too because, you know, that even now, like, you know, we're getting into, you know, the new generation, but just that's why I love video games as a media, because you experience so much. And you know, you could be playing some stupid game that you think is stupid, but when somebody explains to you like what's really behind it, what the story's trying to tell you, like there's a story behind, I don't know, any random platformer you think of, like, you know, or any
Old Legacy.
Yeah, like there's a story behind that, but it's just so
There's
much
an actual
fun.
story to that.
So
You're
much
the evil
fun.
person. Sorry.
Oh,
Did you not
Spoiler
know
alert.
that?
no, I didn't beat it.
We really should have started this by saying spoiler alert.
Nah, man, we're cool. You seriously never beat Rogue Legacy?
No, remember I had issues with my save files, that and Final Fantasy.
Who gives a shit? I put about 50 hours into Rogue Legacy. I beat that motherfucker up to, I want to say +7.
Yeah.
I think I beat it 7 times over because you can go plus and it makes it harder, and then you go plus makes it harder. Look,
It's an awesome game. It's an awesome game.
Rogue Legacy. If I could have, that would have been in there because it's a roguelike, and people just copied the shit out of it after it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Just desperately. Anyway, not my point. So one thing I want to say about our top 5, and obviously they're different, and even our top 10, we'll list them below this, so you can check out our personals, and then you can see what we kind of came up with here. The one thing I want to leave it with is I know that a lot of times we as gamers get stuck in our games, and we only play our games and whatnot. One thing I am personally trying to do is I'm trying to play all different types of games. I'm trying to play games that used to piss me off a lot. So perfect example is Dark Souls. Never fucking played it. I wouldn't touch it because I just would get pissed off. I love Bloodborne. I understand it was a little easier type, and like they made some sacrifices
Faster
into it, faster. But I loved it.
Yeah.
I never thought I would love a game like that.
I love it.
The same goes for a game like Rogue Legacy. Whereas, like, I didn't think I would like a procedural generated game like that, where you die and you fucking start over. Like, didn't think I would like it, and I absolutely fell in love with it. So my biggest thing is, I know these are our top 5, these are our top 10s, but just explore everything. Just try different genres as you go on. I know I'm about to pick up Tales of Vestiria?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Zestiria.
Zestiria?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm about to pick that up. I haven't played a more action-y RPG like that in a very long time because it's not my niche.
Yeah.
I love regular JRPGs.
No, you're right.
But give everything a try. Just give it a try. If there was a top 5 on here you've never played, try it.
Yeah.
Just give it that chance.
Yep.
Except for Metal Gear. That was terrible. Hey, guys. Hey, thank you for watching us. Thank you for paying attention. We're going to get out of here. Thank you. Bye.